All right, so welcome everyone, welcome back. I hope the last 24 hours were good for you. And so let's get straight into the superpower state. So take a deep breath and get into your superpower state however you normally do that. Using your word or phrase, or imagining hugging your subject. And feel your heart opening. Feel that expansion, that light, that energy, that love. And allow it now to spread down to your toes, up to the top of your head, out to your fingertips. So you're now full of that light, that energy, that love. And allow that light or energy to fill each of the cells of your body. So you're now full of that light, that energy. Love each cell just for existing. Each cell is a tiny piece of you. Love each one. And now imagine the little you and allow that light or energy to overflow from you and fill that little you, yourself as a child. From the tips of their toes to the top of their head, out to their fingertips. So they're full of that light, that energy. Love that child just for existing. And now allow that light or energy to overflow from that little you and fill your whole childhood, shining that light into any darkness, expanding your power, loving everything no matter what. And now allow that light or energy to fill everyone who's in this group today, from the tips of their toes to the top of their head, out to their fingertips. Love each one just for existing. And open your heart to allow that love from everyone else into you. That light, that energy, that pure, unconditional love filling you up from everyone else. Very good. And now, if you have your eyes closed, open your eyes and aim that love at one inanimate object near you. Love that object just for existing. Fill it with light. Imagine it being filled with light and love all the molecules of that object just for existing. Good job. All right. So let's see. So see if you can maintain that state for this session. And when you lose it, just go back into it when you think of it. And I'm going to check in with each person to find out how you're all doing. So Kara, how are you today?
I am very well, thank you.
Good. Any questions or targets for today?
Well, first I wanted to share something that I planned on sharing yesterday, and then I didn't have my...
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So the day before yesterday, I had an interesting experience when you were guiding us into the superpower.
Yeah.
And first I want to tell you that when I was about 7, I had a dog, Lassie, and one day I, for some reason, put a blanket over my head and I was running around the yard and Lassie was chasing me. And of course I couldn't see where I was going and I ran into a tree and, you know, hit my head, and I was okay, but I had a big, you know, bruise and everything. So the other day when I was going into the Superpower, and you said, see the little you.
Mm-hmm.
My mind did this. I didn't do it consciously. My mind had me run over to the little you, to little me, and tickle her and take her to the ground and roll around and laugh. And I realized, oh, wait a minute now. No, I left something out. Sorry. I have to read it off the paper. My mind showed me going over to her, tickling her, and then chasing her around the yard. And she was headed towards the tree.
Uh-huh.
And I grabbed her and took her down to the ground and rolled around with her, and we were laughing. And so what aspect of me was facilitating that memory change?
Okay, very good. First of all, well done. Great, great achievement there. And I would say, of course, we don't know for sure, but I would, first thing that comes to mind for me is that with all the other changes you're making, that your subconscious is just spontaneously bringing into alignment some of those old memories. Yeah. So, and with the changes, particularly in how you feel about yourself. So the more you start to love, to have compassion, kindness, and love for yourself, the more your subconscious is processing stuff, and that thing of running into the tree and having a bruise didn't fit in with the new compassion, kindness, and love you have for yourself. So it spontaneously changed it. That's what I would say.
I was amazed.
Yeah, and it's an expression, I see it as an expression of the love you have for yourself, for that little you and yourself now.
Good. And I was thinking that for the new memory that I would make the adult me be my mother instead.
Mm-hmm. Good idea. Yes.
So that my mother was actually, yeah.
Very good idea. That's perfect. Good job, Karen. Thank you so much for sharing that, because it's a great example for others as well of what's possible. Very good.
So, dog, hold on a second. Sorry about that. So as for targets, I would still like to target itchy skin.
Okay.
And you know what? If you want to mute me and come back to me, that would be fine. I know it's really noisy.
All right.
Okay. And my dog again, her leg. So it's Zira.
What's her name?
Zira.
Zira.
Zira with a Z.
Zero. Okay. Zira. Zira?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Like the number, but with an A.
Yes.
Yes, very good. So Steve, if you could add 0 to her, that's fantastic. Lovely.
Okay. And I'm going to go let my dogs in.
All right, love. Thank you for your sharing. All right, and on to Tina. Hi, Tina.
Morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm okay. I have a question. When we do, like, I want to change my childhood, right? So I feel like I'm struggling. I'm like pushing heavy truck to do this or change. It's like difficult, and I'm keep going, and then I'm tired. But when I'm thinking about the bad memories from the past or crazy stuff, it's so easy going, and I don't feel tired. So
there you go. Well, that's a perfect demonstration of what is of two main things. The first, the survival instinct, that it's not difficult to focus on the bad stuff because we're designed for survival. And secondly, just how established those old ones, those negative ones are compared to the new ones. So I would say, first of all, I want to know, when you go to change your memories and you say it's difficult, how do you know it's difficult? So what happens when you start to do that?
I have not much idea how to put everything organized, how I grew up. Yeah, I see me little or my grandma or mother. Let's say now I'm doing with my mother,
Yeah.
childhood. So I can see everything, but I don't know, like to put maybe more details, like to
Oh,
what they do, how they protect her or support her. These nice, good words and that
oh,
affection, all that stuff. It's like a kind of, even I feel whole my body is like tight and difficult. Maybe I don't know. I feel like pressure
yeah.
to do this.
All right, that's fine. And so this, it sounds like there's some resistance there. So you may want to do a due justice letter, another due justice letter. But in addition to that, have you been into the new memory garden, the new Facebook group?
Yes, I'm going there once a while. Yes.
Okay, good. So, because I'll post more and more suggestions there. I've been so busy with other things that I haven't done as much posting in there as I'd like to, but I know Steve has been in there as well. So here's the thing, read through other people's memories. So one of the reasons for this garden is to help inspire and give ideas for those who may not be able to think of of new memories, of ideas for new memories. So as you read through other people's, imagine it for yourself and notice what happens. So if you start, you read Steve's or one of the others, you're reading through theirs and you start having thoughts that are negative or resistant and it starts to feel hard, stop, get into the superpower state. Love whatever's there, love all of it, love the feeling of the resistance, love the fact that you can't change it, do all of that, and then try again and keep doing that. And if a negative memory comes up to contradict that, so let's say you're thinking of, your mum and dad reading bedtime story to you, so you're in bed and they're reading bedtime story to you and it feels it's a lovely situation. If a memory then comes up of the opposite, something not nice, then change that straight away. Now, here's the thing for everyone as well, especially if you've been changing memories already. It's very important and empowering to realize it doesn't need to be a big thing. It doesn't need to be difficult. It doesn't need to take a long time. It can be as quick and easy as imagining your front door a different color. There's no reason for it not to be. It's exactly the same thing. It's only the conscious mind buying into the emotions that makes it more difficult. So for example, now, Tina, imagine your mum right now as a little girl. Can you do that?
Yes.
Very good. Okay. And now I want you to put a sun hat on her, a beautiful sun hat with flowers on it. Can you do that?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Can you put a purple dress on her?
I always see every kid's in white dress.
Okay, but can
Yeah,
you
I
make
don't
it?
know, like cute, nice white dress all the time.
Okay.
But yeah, she can have like light lila color.
Lilac, yes,
Lilac.
yes.
Yeah.
Good. Can you give her a puppy?
Yes.
Very good. So that is how easy it is to change memories and to create new ones. It doesn't need to be a big task.
You
Now,
see, when you told me, when you guide me, I can do it. When I do myself, I feel struggling, like heavy, like I
okay,
don't.
so one of the reasons for that is just because you're not used to it, and that's okay. So that part of your brain isn't used to being used, that way of thinking. So in the new memories, in the new memory garden, there's a meditation of and I can't remember first day at school. I think I put in there. No, story of your birth. Story of your birth
Oh
is
yes, there is. I didn't do it because yeah.
that's it. So use those, and I'll do some more as well. So I will post. So there's the generational rewrites, the generational rewrite meditation, which I think I put in there. If I haven't, I'll put it in. Practice with that, because listening to that over and over again and following along with it will start to give you ideas as well of what you're looking at, and notice or what you can create. So notice while you're listening to it, what images come up for you, or ideas, or how does what I'm saying in that meditation, how is that represented for you? So when I say, you know, your mum was born to two parents who loved each other so much, and they couldn't wait for her to arrive, and they were so excited when they went to look for baby things. What's happening in your mind as I'm saying that? And then if you start to pay attention to that and become aware of it, your brain will get used to creating that kind of thing for yourself. And you'll find that at one point, suddenly you're able to do it. Because each time you listen to that, and each time we have these conversations, your brain is already forming new neural networks that are setting you up for that ability. And the more you do it, the easier it will get, the more established those networks will get. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. Yeah.
Good. Very
Yeah,
good.
usually I was in the other side, negative side, all
Yeah,
my life. So maybe
that's it. So it's
that's
just
why
taking
it's,
a little bit of time. You know, it's like I used this analogy in an article I wrote, or a book, I can't remember now, that I wrote a long time ago, is when you have a piece of paper that's been rolled up, you know, if you've got like a poster or something, and it's been rolled up one way for a long time, and then you try and straighten it out, it keeps, you know, and you've got to roll it the other way quite a lot and keep it like that for it to straighten out. That's what this is like. So when you've been your brain is wired for the negative, and your body is conditioned for the stress chemicals, it just takes rolling the paper the other way a bit longer and holding it that way. But the great news is it doesn't take as long to undo it as it did to do it. In other words, you know, I'd spent 50 years of my life in that negative struggle state. It only took a few months to get out of it, to undo it.
you see, this is what I'm thinking every day. Like, this should be like one day, change memory, so easy. Why not? And it's like taking me weeks already, and I still in one point that I don't go much further than, I don't know. It's like, yeah, the same thing should be so quick. Why not? It's like read a book, right?
And I completely understand that, because so I've always been a very impatient person. Like, come on, there's no reason it shouldn't be quicker.
Yeah, I want it fast, 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 and it doesn't go.
Now the answer to that is, what are you doing in between? So in other words, you work on the memories, and then what do you do in between working on the memories? Where is your focus? How are you feeling in between?
I don't understand you. Like, when I'm thinking about memory, I'm changing what I'm focusing.
So I'll give you my example of for me what it was like. So I would do the work, and then I caught myself. I started to become aware. So I would change happy, and I'd do the superpower and all of that, and practice and do the new memories. And then I would go about my day, and I would be worried about the bills, and I would be thinking, what is wrong with these people? Why can't they? And I was getting frustrated about things, and I was thinking of things that I should do, and what are they going to think in between. And so the aim, my sister said this to me back then, you need to get to the point where you're spending more time feeling good than you are feeling bad.
Yeah, like, yeah, many times I cut myself even. Yeah, it's like I even don't know when I start to think about different stories.
That's it. And that's okay, because as soon it's on automatic. So it's not your fault at all. The choice comes when you become aware of it. So when you become aware of it, that's when you can go, okay, and then make that choice to redirect, to practice a new childhood memory, to get into the superpower state, to even just count to 1 to 5, you know, look for 5 things to be grateful for, do whatever it takes to pull yourself back. Now, the problem comes, if you're anything like me and most people, the problem comes that it is very, very tempting to continue down that route. And
Yeah.
the reason for that is because the stress chemicals are strong, and it's survival. So the challenge comes in being able to let that go and go, I know it looks important, I know it feels like I should, and make that choice anyway. And it's not easy to do, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. And of course, practicing the superpower state as much as possible will help to make that easier. And one of the things I wanted to talk about today is priorities, but unconscious priorities. And I posted something on Facebook this morning about this. And you know, we think of prioritizing as a conscious thing. So like you guys have all prioritized being here this morning, which is great. And we prioritize certain things consciously, but unconsciously, we are constantly prioritizing without knowing it. So we are unconsciously, in every moment, we're prioritizing. Right now, I'm prioritizing talking instead of drinking coffee, but without thinking about it. Right now, I'm prioritizing the way I'm sitting, and so are all of you. We prioritize where we're looking in any moment. We certainly prioritize what we're thinking about, but not consciously most of the time. It's unconscious. And so the answer is, as you become, you know, like prioritizing drinking water or not drinking water, or answering a particular email or going to the loo. You know, we're prioritizing in every single moment. And the answer is becoming aware. Like I'm prioritizing right now, silencing my phone instead of waiting until I finish speaking because it doesn't make noises. So the answer is starting to become aware in the moment, asking yourself the question, what am I prioritizing right now? Like right now, I'm prioritizing scratching my eye as opposed to being conscious of what it's going to look like on camera. So what am I prioritizing right now in this moment? Number one. And number two, is it going to help me reach the results I want to reach? So right now, if I'm prioritizing reading articles that are negative or upsetting or, you know, that trigger me, I have that choice. I can continue, but is it going to result in where I want to go? Is focusing on the thing I think should be a different way, that was very much what I used to do, is that getting me to the freedom I want, the financial freedom, the love, the happiness? And then you have that choice.
I cannot listen to negative stories or watch horror movies, or I'm very bad. I'm very sensitive. I'm just like, oh my God, no, I don't want to even hear that because I know how it's affecting me.
Okay, good. So now your next, I'm going to give you a challenge to level up that. Send them love instead. So instead of saying, oh, I can't watch it, just fill yourself with love and love all the negatives, love all the, I mean, without reading them or watching them, but think of a scary movie and send love to it. Because that then takes away that struggle and takes away that, that powerlessness, right? It empowers you. So, you know, anything that worries you, that bothers you, that frightens you, that makes you angry, frustrated, any of those kind of things, love is the answer. I know someone mentioned that the other day, the song, but it's true. That is exactly what it is. The answer is always love. It doesn't seem like it.
Yeah.
All right. And so love yourself as well, even though the memories are taking a long time or whatever. And knowing consciously that it doesn't need to take a long time, it's just resistance or habit or whatever else is going on. And the more you love that, the lower the resistance will become.
I want to ask you one more thing. When you send, like, let's say, oh, I'm scared about the negative story to hear, or I don't want to hear, how you send the love? Like, you imagine some light, or you just, I love it anyway? Like, I just don't know how to do it.
That's okay. And both are correct. Both, you can do either or both. So for example, for me, if I think of, you know, things that, let's say, news that upset, that I think is not nice, I kind of have a vague idea of it being over there for some reason, and I imagine sending light to it, and I love it anyway. So that's just how it is in my head, but for someone else, it may be different. So whatever feels right for you, and if you can't feel it, remember, you can just intend it. You can just go, I love it all anyway.
Yes, I do many different ways, and I'm never sure if I'm doing right or
Yeah. You are doing it right. You are doing it right. And just, you know, whatever, obviously the ideal, what you're aiming for is to feel that unconditional love and that light and love everything anyway, no matter what. That's the ideal. That's the goal. Now, anything you can do towards that, even if it's just a decision, I love it all anyway, even if you can't feel it. So whatever you can do between that and actually being able to feel that unconditional love.
okay. So I
And
guess
some
I'm
days,
doing good.
yes, you are. And some days will be easier than others. And on the days when it's not easy, don't buy into that. It's just part of the journey. It doesn't mean that everything you've done before hasn't worked or that you've gone backwards or anything like that. It's just one of those days. And tomorrow you'll have another go.
Okay.
All right.
I'd like to add just a couple of little things. What Tina was saying earlier in sharing this for everybody, that feeling of it should go faster. You know, why is it? You know, why does it keep coming back? That feeling of catching yourself. You know, when you're feeling that negativity again. Why is this back here again? But the moment that you actually become aware, the moment that you actually notice that, that's really what you're going for. And so what Odille was saying about how much we are living in that unconscious place, how those unconscious priorities keep popping up, that unconscious draw toward negativity, you're becoming more aware of what your state is. It's like, oh, I'm feeling that negative thought again. So you can actually congratulate yourself in the moment that it's like, wow, I can see what's going on. Now, you may not like the fact that that's the negative thought that's there, but it's like, it's the awareness. I'm living in that moment of being able to recognize this. Yay me. And if you have to do that 100 times, 1,000 times in a day, you're building that awareness. You're building that sense of control. You're no longer acting on autopilot. Now I have a conscious choice. That's a negative thing. That's a negative thought or feeling. Now I can redirect. That's empowerment. So, and the more and more that you do that, the stronger and easier that will become.
Right.
So each time you feel or you go back to some negative memory, like you not knowing even, and then you cut yourself, it's like one step up, one step up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I caught myself. Yay. Okay, that's a negative thought. I can redirect. Instead of, you know, and I lived in places where you get into those negative thought patterns and they can exist for a day, a week, a month, a year. You can just get into a cycle where you're not even aware of how to pull yourself out. But now that moment, it's like, oh, that's a negative thought. Redirect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yay you. So if you had to do that 100 times yesterday, congratulations.
Yeah, all the time.
Yes. Thank you, Steve, because that is such an excellent point. And it's a huge thing, if not the most important thing, because without that awareness, you can't make any changes anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to add to what Steve just said, is that you become aware and you go, okay, so now recognize there's a negative thought there. I could change to the positive thought, even if you choose not to change to the positive thought. Still congratulate yourself for having become aware of it in the first place.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Good, because that really is a step up from not knowing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, because you start to empower yourself, and I did that myself. You know, I would get frustrated with something, and become aware of it and go, I could send love to this, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, like you feel like, no, I don't want to.
And that's okay. And so it's really important to give yourself that break and go, at least I recognized it. At least I became aware, and good for me for doing that. And next time I'll make a different choice. But it puts you in that place of empowerment.
So maybe, yeah, when I'm gonna congratulate myself and be proud of myself, I recognize maybe I'm gonna be less resistant.
Exactly, because congratulating yourself and being proud of yourself is already starting to produce feel-good chemicals instead of stress chemicals.
Okay. So it's gonna diminish the bad one.
Yeah.
And one other little thing is, if you can consciously remind yourself to check your expectations at the door. Just set down your expectations.
What do
So
you mean? I don't know.
you have the expectation that something is going to change. It's like, well, I've been practicing and it should change right now. So having the expectation that something's going to happen is you're keeping yourself in that state of expecting something. So you're hanging on to, it's not here yet. It's not here yet. It's not here yet. Just let go of that. And it's like, you know what? It'll happen when it happens. I'm just going to love it whenever it happens. So let go of the expectation. Love the fact that it may never happen. Just set down the expectations. It's the expectations and holding on to those expectations that's keeping you locked in that cycle as well.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Very good. Thank you, Tina, for bringing that up as well, because it was a good opportunity to help explain other stuff as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And Katrina. Hi, Katrina.
Hi.
Hey, how are you today?
Yeah. What do you call it? The resentment. You know, the little girl. Remember yesterday?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So, what do you call it? I'm now saying to the little Katrina, I'm delighted to see you happy and having fun in the little princess dress. You go, girl. Listen, you go, girl.
Good. Yeah.
Okay.
Very
So that's
good.
that. And there was another part to the resentment, and I am at peace with the other part, but the event is neutral. There's no pain, there's no whatever, but I can't get to a new picture.
Okay. All right. So what happens when you try to do a new picture, to create a new picture?
Well, I'm just delighted that I've got peace. You know, I have peace with the picture, with the event.
Yes.
So what I've written down here, if we want to wrap this up, is now that I've made peace with it all, have you any tips on how I could spice up the non-event date night with words, giving me a different picture to look at? So rather than, even though this has no pain,
yep,
like see it or whatever, but it's okay. I can't get. I'm good, but I'm not that good.
Yet. You're in training. That's the point of it. All right. So I want you to think of the picture as it is. So the picture, that the original picture that you now feel okay with, you feel no negative emotions. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And how old were you in that memory?
Oh no, this is adulthood. This is.
Oh, okay. Oh well, then I know what it could be. All right. Oh, okay. A date night. Okay. So what was the feeling in there originally that you changed?
Just the what is it? Like the disappointment, the whole thing just went completely whatever, you know.
Okay. So that feeling of disappointment and whatever's there, you got that? You remember what that felt like?
Yeah, but it's that far gone. I don't remember it, you know.
That's okay, but you remember that you did feel that. Now, where in your childhood did you feel that disappointment, that same feeling of it's all gone, whatever that was?
Okay.
Because everything we experience now is informed by our childhood. We can't, you cannot experience anything now that you don't have a reference for in your childhood.
Right.
And if you change the reference, if the reference has been changed, you can't experience it now. So what may be happening, I know you said you brought the emotion down, but your subconscious may be holding on to the picture because it still holds a reference for something from your childhood. So it won't let that change. It's like an anchor. I call it an anchor. So when you find it in your childhood and change it to the opposite, positive and empowering. So, we have a technique that we created as part of the Remmert method called blueprint visualization. And what that is you decide what you want to feel now. So in this case, you think about that date night or whatever it was. What would be, if you could wave a magic wand, what would be the feeling of that particular event? What would be the ideal feeling? Then you go to your childhood and you create that feeling there. So that your childhood, which is the GPS coordinates, is in alignment with your destination, where you want to be now. Right? So it's like going into your GPS and create, putting in the coordinates for the destination you want to get to, not to where you've been or where you are now.
I think it was, well, it always is I want to be shown love and affection.
Yes.
And I'm never showing it because it's their away in their head with their stuff. Okay, so that's, but the thing here about the memory of the little girl, the last thing I said, I was so loved that I even got the most expensive doll in the shop because it was my birthday. Now I didn't, and it wasn't the most expensive, but
yes,
it was more expensive than my mother wanted to pay. And she said no. So I healed the resentment.
Yes.
So could that be still the disappointment?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, that's part of it. That won't be all of it. But so make sure that now you are getting that doll, and your mum, in fact, she surprises you with it. You don't even have to ask. Or maybe you do ask, depending on what will be the opposite. So perhaps you do ask, and she says, "Oh, yes, of course, sweetheart, I'd love to get that for you." Now, what you want to add to all of your memories, and this is for everyone, to every single memory every new memory, you want to add affection and attention. Because that is survival for children. That's actually what every child wants. And then it's expressed in various ways, but make sure that in those new memories, your mum is giving you a hug, she's giving you attention, you are the focus, you are her main focus. So she doesn't just buy you the doll. She's excited to buy you the doll, and she gives you a hug, and you're like, "Oh, wow, this is," and then she goes, "Yes, and you deserve it, sweetheart. Of course you can have it."
She did buy me a doll, but I hated the doll.
Okay. So make sure that it's
all my life. I hated dolls, so don't give me a doll.
So have her buy you whatever you would want. A puppy, a pony. Well, you had a pony, but you know what I mean. Whatever you would want. What did that little?
I wanted a particular doll, and because I didn't get it, I didn't want any doll.
So now you did get that doll. Number one. Number two. Remember, with the blueprint visualization, figure out how this would feel. This date night, the ideal date night, the ideal feeling of it, and then have that created in your childhood, whatever that would look like. Obviously not date night, but you know what I mean. The feeling of being special, attention, love, affection, respect, whatever it is that you would like now. Make sure you create memories of that in your childhood with that same feeling.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yes.
Good job. I'm very proud of you. It's amazing how fantastic your progress has been over this short time.
Okay.
Coming from, not having a background in it at all, I'm very, very impressed and very proud of you. Good job.
I know what I have too, of the very best.
Ah, thank you. All right. Thank you for sharing, Katrina. Fantastic. All right. And Lisa. Hi, Lisa.
Hi. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, indeed.
Yay. So I love learning from everybody. It's amazing what I'm learning, and it's such a gift. And it does take practice when you have these thoughts. And I learned to, over the period of time, to just flip it instantly and then just love it. Just as soon as it comes up, shove it out of the way. Because it's too easy to go, oh shit, you know.
Yep.
But anyway, so that's I'm really enjoying this a lot. Thank you so much for this. It's a wonderful gift.
Yeah, you're very welcome. It really is our pleasure. We so enjoy doing this, and we appreciate that all of you are open to, you know, because I know my driving force is to empower people by giving them the information and the awareness, and then it's up to them if they use it or not. And I don't mind if so. I never want to have to convince anyone, but I always appreciate when people are willing to be open to it and do what it takes, or at least be open to finding out what it takes. So I'm thrilled that you're here, and you're such a lovely example.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
And thank you for mentioning that. Yes. So what I do now is whenever something does come up and I think, oh, is there something there? You know, maybe Steve and I will have a chat and he'll say, well, what does it feel like wearing your childhood? And I'll go, oh my goodness, I've completely forgotten about that. There's this. And as I say it, it changes. I change it. It doesn't change automatically always. Sometimes it does, but I deliberately change it. So as I think, oh, I'm just trying to think of one that I can't even remember now. One that happened perhaps in the last few months, but let's say, and there was something to do with my mum, but I cannot remember it now. Anyway, let's say it was being told I was stupid, because that was an old one. Maybe I say to Steve, oh, I remember now, my mum used to say, don't be so stupid, Odille. And as I'm saying that, I'm creating new memories of my mum going, oh, I'm so proud of you. You know, you are amazing, and all of that, however it is, with her face shining, you know, happy and that kind of thing. So thank you for mentioning that, Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Very good. You're welcome. All right. And Amy. Hi, Amy.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, thanks for all the shares. It's really helpful for me as well. Today's my last day at my job, and I realize after 8 years, you know, it's kind of bittersweet, yet it's, you know, I work behind the scenes and I don't get to meet our clients and whatnot. And I realize and I love surprises. So there's not this big, I'm kind of a private person, but there's not you know, I realize that there's the recognition there. So when you were talking about, you know, if you didn't feel that enough in your childhood, recreate it. But my body goes, or that special attention. But so the feeling I'm feeling is grief and loss, probably because where did I feel at my childhood? Just maybe a loss of childhood.
Yes.
And then, but I'm not sure how to change that to, or the memory back there if I don't know exactly what memory it is. And then if I'm staying in it now, it's because my body realizes, or that survival stress chemicals got that. But it feels like it's if I give up the grief and loss, I'm denying myself, so to speak, because no one paid attention to me, if that makes sense. So
yes, absolutely. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Good job. Well done.
Yeah.
So first of all, when you don't know what memory is there, just create one from scratch.
Okay.
So just create, like, imagine a memory of your parents throwing you a surprise birthday party, or suddenly they turn up with a puppy or a kitten or a pony, something like that. You can create lots of those.
Okay.
You know, have fun with it. Make it as wonderful as you can. You know, they wake you up in the middle of the night with a cake that says, "We're going to Disney World," and you're like, "Oh," you know. So there's something wonderful for children about being. I got goosebumps as I'm saying this, about children being woken up in the middle of the night for something exciting. Like, we have to leave now. We're flying to go on vacation or whatever. And I remember my son. I don't know, he was 7, I think, and we went to Legoland, and we had to leave really early. So I woke him up at 4 o'clock in the morning because we were determined to be the first ones there.
Right.
I woke him up as I went into his room singing, Legoland, Legoland,
Yeah.
Legoland. So he woke up
Yes.
with that. It was like, you know, tired to begin. Oh, and then the
Oh,
excitement.
I forgot all of a sudden. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it. So I'm sharing that for everyone to give you
Okay.
ideas of how you know, ideas of what kind of memories you can start to create.
Okay. And then I also wrote down when we talked about it should be a certain way, I can feel that really negative stress in my body. But then
Yes.
if I say like, should it be a certain way? So if you change up the wording, it's like it kind of puts a different spin on it. It's not as charged.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good
Yeah.
start. That's a good stepping
Right.
stone.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
then it should be a certain way. Is that something from now or something from your childhood?
I think it's a situation now, like let's say the health symptoms. I know that they've been there for a while. And I don't like it, and it's hard to put love on something that I don't care for. So
Awesome.
that's something I'm still working on, the unconditional love piece. But I also know that if I just leave it, it's not healthy for me, or there's this talk of, well, that's not healthy, that's not good for your body. So it's getting out of that state of letting it be the way it is. And maybe it's like the puppy where I got to do it 10 times a day. Maybe it's, you know, training him to go to the bathroom.
That's exactly, yes.
Yeah.
Number one, that's true. And number two, that you know, giving yourself a break and knowing it's okay. I'm doing the best I can.
Mm-hmm.
And giving that little you a break.
Yeah. Got
So
it.
seeing
Yeah.
the child in you going, it's okay, sweetheart. You're all right exactly as you are. You're
Right.
And I
Okay.
love you exactly as you are, even if you never change.
Sure. Okay. Got it.
Okay,
Awesome.
good. Thank you
Thank
for sharing.
you.
Amy. You're
Thank
very
you.
welcome. And Cheryl. Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, good morning, everybody. How are you?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
I am feeling very peaceful.
Good.
Thanks to all of you. So I want to explain why I feel peaceful. So I just have this, you know, some days you're just like, can't make sense of anything. Today, I feel like I'm making sense of everything.
Good.
I just feel that everything is so easy. And because of the superpower, I don't have to be afraid of anything. Yes. That any problem that comes my way, I'm just going to aim love at it, unconditional love, and it's just going to disappear. And I know that's true because I've been doing it. And we've been doing it. And I see everyone doing it. And I see you guys all in the group. And I mean, we can't really notice our own progress because, you know, we're not watching ourselves. But when I look at Katrina and Tina and all, you know, everybody, and I see how much they've improved just by, you know, these, not even in a short time, I just feel like, oh, I really do have a superpower. And, you know, I feel like Wonder Woman or whatever. So
good. Yeah.
So, yeah. So thank you from the bottom of my heart.
You're very welcome.
And that applies to everything. I mean, my son pointed out yesterday, he's like, remember when all you used to talk about was Trump and everything? He's like, you never talk about it anymore. I'm like, I don't have any more fear around any of it.
Good.
I feel like it's conquered the fear. You know, that's today. So hopefully, I know like we have our ups and downs, but I'm going to celebrate how I feel today. And then I just wanted to say, the other day when I shared that personal thing that happened to me, a few people had messaged me privately and said that it had happened to them as well. And I just want to say to them that I hope they're going to show themselves the same kindness and love that they showed to me.
Yes.
So that's what I want them to do because they deserve it too.
Very, very good point, Cheryl. Thank you so much for sharing that. And this is true that we tend to share, you know, there's that, of course, that Bible quote, love your neighbor as you love yourself. But the truth is, love yourself as you love your neighbor.
It's so
That's
true.
actually what we need to do, because most of us don't love ourselves, or we certainly don't. The truth is actually that we do love ourselves, we just don't recognize it and we block it out.
We don't remember.
Right. We're born with love for ourselves, but then it's covered up through experiences. It's trained and conditioned out of us.
Yes. And I just wanted to say what Steve said too. I mean, you both complement each other perfectly. And what he said about the awareness piece, I feel very aware today. And I think he's spot on about that. You have to realize that you're aware of something that's not right, and you're working to improve it. So
exactly, that's perfect. And so one of the things I discovered, I felt no compassion or kindness for the little me. This is a few years ago, and until my sister said, so she would say these things happened to us when we were children, and I would go, well, it happens, we're fine, it was okay, it wasn't that bad. And then she said, now imagine those were happening to your son. And that was when I went, oh, okay.
Yes.
Now I know what I'm aiming for, to feel for myself and to stand up for that little me, because there was no way that would be okay. So a lot of people say, well, and I did a Facebook post on this a while ago, is a lot of people say, well, I wouldn't change my childhood because that's what made me who I am today. And then two questions to ask yourself. Number one, are you happy with who you are today? Or are there things that you want to change about your finances, your health, your relationships, your career, etc.? Then the second question is, if you knew that in order to have the results you've had, your child would need to go through what you went through as a child, would you go, yep, I would like that for my child? So that's another question to ask. And then finally, the understanding that to be strong and healthy and happy and successful and achieve great things, you do not need to struggle. You do not need to have been treated badly as a child. It does not make you so that you don't get strong, you don't become strong and successful because of the negative stuff that happened to you. You become strong and successful despite the negative stuff that happened to you.
Right.
You imagine if you hadn't had that negative stuff, just how much you would be able to achieve. So that's, I think, really important. So thank you for kind of making me think of that, Cheryl, to be able to share that. Good job. I'm so proud of you, Cheryl, and I am so glad you came to these.
Thank you so much.
These sessions. You're very welcome. All right, and check in the comments. So some lovely comments for each other, which is very nice. That's lovely. And that's it. Okay, so no questions in there or targets in the comments. So let's do the aiming. All right, so take a deep breath, close your eye, or keep your eyes open. What I mean to say is take a deep breath, go into your superpower. Go into your superpower state. And feel that expansion in your heart. And that light or energy shining out from your heart. And feel it spreading down to your toes, up to the top of your head, out to your fingertips. So you're now full of that light, that energy, that love. And fill each of the 50 trillion cells that make up your body with that same light, that energy. Love each cell. just for existing. And if you've got any symptoms, any pains or symptoms in your body, allow that light or energy to go to that particular place in your body. Shine that light into the darkness and love the cells of that part of your body just for existing. Exactly as they are, without needing to change. Love those symptoms. Very good. And now think of the little you and fill that little child with that same love, that energy. From the tips of their toes to the top of their head and out to their fingertips. Love that child just for existing. Now think of your target, your subject. Fill your subject with that same light, that energy. Love them just for existing. And now imagine they don't want to be with you, or they're miserable in some way. Keep them filled with that light, that energy. Love them anyway. And now let's go to Kara. Fill Kara with that light, that energy. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Kara just for existing. And think of Kara's skin, the itchiness, and love it all anyway. Shine that light into those skin cells. Shine that light into the itchiness. Love it all anyway, exactly as it is. And now think of Zira, Kara's dog, and fill Zira with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her paws to the tip of her tail, to the tip of her nose, to the tips of her ears. Fill her with that same light, that energy, that love, exactly as she is. And now fill her legs with that same light, that energy. Focus specifically on those legs. The leg that's not well, fill that particularly with that light, that energy, that love. Love it all anyway. Shining the light into the darkness. Good job. And now let's go over to Tina. Fill Tina with that same light, that energy. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Tina just for existing. And now the fact that Tina can't remember, is having trouble changing memories, how long it's taking to change the memories, love all of that. Fill that amount of time, the difficulty, the struggle with that light, that energy. Shine the light into the darkness. Love it all anyway. Whether Tina manages to change the memories or not, whether it takes a long time or not, love it all anyway. Very good. And now over to Katrina. Fill Katrina with that same light, that energy. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head, out to her fingertips. Love Katrina just for existing. And whatever the results of the changing the memories, the date night, love the date night exactly as it is, whether you change it or not, whether she changes it or not, love it all anyway. And any childhood memories that are supporting that situation, those results. Shine light into them Love it all anyway. Good job. And now over to Lisa, and fill Lisa with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Lisa just for existing. And now allow that light or energy to overflow from Lisa and fill her son from the tips of his toes to the top of his head, out to his fingertips. Love Lisa's son just for existing. See that light filling him and shining out from him. This is who we really are. And now over to Amy, and fill Amy with that same light, that energy, that love. Love Amy just for existing. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. And fill any physical symptoms that Amy experiences with that same light, that energy. Love it all anyway, exactly as it is, shining that light into darkness. Very good. And for Amy, anything, whatever's next with her, with the expectations of what's going to happen next, love it all anyway. We cannot create anything bad for ourselves as long as we stay in the state of love. Everything has to turn out to be either good or nothing to worry about. Good job. And now to Cheryl. Fill Cheryl with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Cheryl just for existing. And allow that light or energy to overflow from Cheryl and fill everything and everyone in her life. That same light, that energy, that love. And now to Wanda. Fill Wanda with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. So she's now full of that light, that energy, that love. Love Wanda just for existing. And now fill Wanda's resistance to doing the work with that same light, that energy. Whether she does it or she doesn't, whether she wants to do it or not, no matter how she feels about it, fill it all with that light, that energy, that love. Love Wanda and all of that anyway. And now fill everyone who's on this call but not on camera, who's incognito, fill all of those people with the same light, that energy, from the tips of their toes to the top of their head and out to their fingertips. Love them all just for existing. And now think of yourself later today, whatever you'll be doing, whatever you'll be experiencing, fill that version of you with that same light, that energy. From the tips of your toes to the top of your head and out to your fingertips, love that version of you, no matter what, just for existing. And feel your power expanding, filling the room you're in and beyond. Feel that feeling of expansion, that feeling of power, filling everything in your awareness. Now open your heart even more to receive the love and the light and the energy from me, exactly as you are. Very good. All right. You can open your eyes if you haven't closed. How is that for everyone? Good. Excellent. You're very welcome. Good job. All right. So any questions before we, so we will be doing next week as well. And I will send out the link as usual for, so the link for the next week will be on the resources page where you find the recordings. And so as soon as I've set up the new booking page, I'll replace the link on that page for you, and I'll send out an email. So if you were registered through Eventbrite for this week, you'll get an email letting you know once that link is ready to book for next week. And for anyone who wants to attend, we are doing our full day workshop on changing childhood memory, finding and changing childhood memories tomorrow. And we have Tina, the hypnotist, working with us tomorrow. She'll be sharing some of her stuff as well. And the link for that is on the resources page as well. So if you do want to attend that, it's 9:30. Starts at 9:30 Central Time tomorrow. Well, it starts at 10, but doors are open. Virtual doors open at 9:30. All right. So have a wonderful weekend. And keep practicing, and we will see you again on Monday. Lots of love to all of you. Bye.